deeply concerned to learn that she is now facing administrative detention for 4 months without charge and with no due process for her family, or lawyers to challenge this. Such processes against what is already a deeply threatened minority are contrary to commitments given over the years. Either return the captives or give in to far-right opposition leader. As we've been reporting, Israeli ministers have made opposing comments on a ceasefire deal that is currently being reviewed by Hamas. DNS News 24 Hours with you, bringing today's latest news in the world in a simple and safe way. Don't forget to follow us and leave a like. Tell me where you are watching our videos from. Activate the bell. You are well informed of everything that happens, is 100% impartial. The leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, also added his take on the deal, which has been slammed by far-right ministers. This government has to choose: return the abductees alive, or Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich relations with the Americans, or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich the Saudi deal, or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich Israel's security, or Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, Lapid wrote on X. Both Ben-Gvir and Smotrich warned today, if the deal is accepted and the military does not go into Rafah, then the Netanyahu government will no longer exist. At least 2 children in Gaza have died due to the heat, UNRWA. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees said it received reports that rising temperatures in Gaza have led to the death of at least 2 children. Children are paying the highest toll in the ongoing Israeli war, now nearing its 7th month, according to UNRWA. What more to endure? Death, hunger, disease, displacement, and now living in greenhouses-like structures under scorching heat, Philippe Lazzarini, UNRWA's Commissioner General, said. U.S. Senator questions if Israel is following international law. U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen questioned whether the Biden administration is properly assessing Israel's compliance of international law, following a news report that some American officials don't find that country's assurances credible. This reporting casts serious doubt on the integrity of the process in the Biden administration for reviewing whether the Netanyahu government is complying with international law in Gaza, Holland, a Democrat, said in a statement. A recent Reuters report found some senior officials advised Secretary of State Antony Blinken that they do not find Israel's assurances that it's using U.S.-supplied weapons in accordance with international humanitarian law credible or reliable. The determination regarding compliance with international law is one of fact and law. The facts and law should not be ignored to achieve a predetermined policy outcome. Our credibility is on the line, said Holland. Qatari official urges Israel and Hamas to reach a ceasefire. Speaking to Israeli media, Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari urged both Israel and Hamas to show more commitment and more seriousness in ceasefire negotiations. In the interviews with the Haaretz Daily and public broadcaster Kan, Al-Ansari did not reveal details of the current state of the talks, other than to say they have effectively stopped, with both sides entrenched in their positions. If there is a renewed sense of commitment on both sides, I'm sure we can reach a deal, he said. Qatar has been a key intermediary throughout the Israeli war on Gaza, now nearing its 7th month. Along with the U.S. and Egypt, Qatar was instrumental in helping negotiate a brief halt to the fighting in November that led to the release of dozens of captives. Israel's Gantz warns government will have no right to exist if deal rejected. Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz says if the government rejects a deal to release captives in Gaza, it will have no right to continue to exist. Entering Rafah is important in the long struggle against Hamas. The return of our abductees, abandoned by the 7.10 government, is urgent and of far greater importance, Gantz wrote on X. If a responsible outline is reached for the return of the abductees with the backing of the entire security system, which does not involve the end of the war, and the ministers who led the government on 7.10 prevent it, the government will not have the right to continue to exist and lead the campaign. Gantz's comments contradict those of the far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, who earlier warned that Netanyahu's government would have no right of existence if it accepted a ceasefire deal and did not enter Rafah. Agreement to the truce deal would represent the death penalty for the hostages and immediate existential danger to the state of Israel, said Smotrich. Insurmountable task for humanitarian groups in Gaza. Nicholas Orr, chief officer of the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Project working to disarm munitions in Gaza, says any humanitarian activity in the war-ravaged enclave faces an insurmountable task ahead. It's going to take decades to get this back to some kind of normality with what we're seeing here in Gaza, Orr told Al Jazeera. He explained his group is focusing on areas south of Wadi, including Deir el-Balah, Khan Yunis, and the top of Rafah, anticipating the further movement of internally displaced people. The aftermath in Khan Yunis after Israel's ground invasion is something he had never seen in his time working on disposing of explosives, said Orr. Israel agrees to listen to U.S. concerns before any Rafah move, White House. Israel has agreed to listen to U.S. concerns and advice before it launches an invasion of the southern city of Rafah in Gaza. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby, speaking to ABC News, said Israel has also started to meet commitments it made to President Joe Biden on allowing aid into northern Gaza. Rights groups have repeatedly warned Israeli authorities are denying life-saving aid or allowing it in inadequate numbers, especially to the northern part of the besieged coastal enclave where hundreds of thousands face famine. Pro-Palestine campus protests spread from U.S. to Australia. Student-led pro-Palestinian protests, extending beyond the U.S., manifested in Australia, where dozens established an encampment at the University of Sydney. DNS News 24 hours with you, bringing today's latest news in the world in a simple and safe way. Don't forget to follow us and leave a like. Tell me where you are watching our videos from. Activate the bell. You are well informed of everything that happens is 100% impartial. More student-led international protests are taking place outside of the U.S., since students at Columbia University in New York set up tents on the campus earlier this month to show their support for Palestine. Unlike what happened at Columbia,